with some of the content that I've been putting up on YouTube. The censorship is getting really excessive on there, so there's going to possibly be some, I don't know about the live streams and stuff, but on YouTube there's going to be possibly some episodes that I have for WWOW Talk that aren't going to be on YouTube whenever I upload them, because I mean it's just getting way out of hand. But with those episodes, I will be having those on Rumble and X. So now the bad part about X is I don't have playlists for them, but I do have channels and playlists set up on Rumble. So if you want to check them out on there, you can. So that's what I got there. I have everything set up and ready to go when it comes to want to check audio. Now I have to check the computer audio, because I decided earlier to update to Windows 11, and they've been doing really weird shit. So I want to make sure that the audio for the computer sounds good too. So I'm going to get silent and do some music. I'm not audios. Audios.
Boom, boom, do that, baby. Over, yeah. boom, boom, do that, baby. Over, yeah. Over, yeah. Boom, boom, do that, baby. Over, yeah. Over, yeah. Boom, boom, do that, baby. Over, yeah. Over, yeah. Boom, boom, do that, baby. Over, yeah. Over, yeah. Boom, boom, do that, baby. Over, yeah. Over, yeah. Boom, boom, do that, baby. Over, yeah. Over, yeah. Boom, boom, do that, baby. Over, yeah. Over, yeah. Boom, boom, do that, baby. Over, yeah. Over, yeah. Boom, boom, do that, baby. Over, yeah. Over, yeah. Boom, boom, do that, baby. begin. So begin. Big bang, boom boom, do that baby. Oh yeah. So begin. Big bang, boom boom, do that baby. Oh yeah. So begin. Big bang, boom boom, do that baby. Oh yeah. So begin. Big bang, boom boom, do that baby. Oh yeah. So begin. Big bang, boom boom, do that baby. Oh yeah. So begin. Big bang, boom boom, do that baby.
Okay, so I am back. I have everything set up and ready to go. 2 minutes until the show begins. So I ended up saying a bunch of stuff and not realizing that I was still muted out before I started the music. So I apologize for everybody. To everybody, anybody who didn't know that was going on. I don't know why I'm apologizing if you didn't know about it, right? So today it's going to be a good episode. It's long overdue, and it was a request that somebody on WWOW or the Wonderful World of Weirdness made in the chat section, and I didn't want to do this episode until I had all the facts to go with it. To be honest, I had done research on this about I'd say about 5 years ago, and it was a while since I've actually gone through and reviewed it and everything. So I wanted to get talking points put together on it because it's a very good episode. So I suggest if you guys are interested, you might want to stick around on this one. It's going to be pretty good. It's about the Dyatlov Pass in the former Soviet Union. It's probably one of the biggest mysteries of the 20th century, to be honest with you. If not for the entire world, for at least Russia. This is a big one. So I like I said, I wanted to hold off and do this one the right way, basically. So, with that being said, I am going to shut up. I have WWOW Talk open on Skype. If anybody wants to join in, they're more than welcome to. If not, I will be closing this out and I'll be doing a solo on it. But that's completely up to anybody. I have links available if you want to join on X, also on Skype, as well as Discord, and on minds.com. So if you guys want to come in, feel free to click on those links. I also have it in the description for my Rumble video that's being streamed right now. All you have to do is hit show more, and it will have the Skype link to join the conversation if you want to get involved and talk about it. So everybody's more than welcome. So with that being said, let me go ahead and hit record and get to it. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, now. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of WWOW Talk. Today is the first episode for 2025. I'd like to welcome everybody and show off my new background slideshow that I put together, my new animation. The microphone I did as a project for Dragus Production, and I came up with even better concepts for it that I wanted to put on my streams. Everything seems to be up and running. I had some issues because of my updates. I went ahead and decided to upgrade to Windows 11, which I don't know why I decided to do, but I did it. And first thing it did was froze up my computer, and my computer is not a toaster, I'll put it to you that way. So that kind of freaked me out a little bit. But I do have a lot of stuff in my memory which could have been a issue, and rendering 5 videos on Blender at the same time might have been an issue as well. So because I have a lot of things that I need to do, and I don't think things through like I should. But with that being said, it froze it up. Then after that, what happened was when I finally got my computer up and going again, it had to repair my Windows program so that it could start up. And when it did, all of my audio went nuts. So I basically had to adjust that. And then after that, they turned around and wanted to do updates. So it's kind of getting a little hectic with this Windows thing, because I'm constantly being asked to shut my computer down so they can do updates. And every time they do that, I have to go in and adjust the audio. So just so you guys know, that's the reason why I like to do my audio tests before every stream, because I honestly endorse that, and I say to anybody who's into the streaming, don't just get on here and stream, so. Oh, there's Mark. Hello Mark, how you doing?
Hi.
What you up to?
Just got back to my place.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I was
Cool.
Hey, did you get the notes on everything that I
had a extremely brief look over them.
Okay. Well, I mean, you can just skim over them as we go, because, like I said, it all doesn't have to be into it. You know what I mean? It's just I've got it narrowed down to a lot more, but that's all the information that I know about the subject at hand. So, with that being said, I'll let everybody know what the topic is, I've said it in before I started recording, but I'll say it again. But this episode is about the Dyatlov Pass incident. It's probably one of the biggest mysteries of the 20th century, to be honest. I'm surprised you never even heard of it.
I may have, but again, I can't recollect.
It's a pretty interesting story. A lot of people have had their opinions about it. You know what I mean? And scientists have always condemned a lot of those opinions, but at the same time, they've never been able to fully explain it. You know what I mean? And this is really, really interesting. It's actually pretty popular in Russia. They do pilgrimages up there
Okay.
to in dedication to the people who died in it.
I actually did come with a theory there.
Did you?
In relation, well, it's the peak of the Cold War. You've got the Cuban Missile Crisis looming
Yeah.
within 2-3 years. World War II ended. Various radiation, nuclear testing been going on. They walked into some sort of military testing ground, and because of the breakup of the Soviet Union and the burning of all papers and stuff, that information is now, or it may be, in a deep archive in the Kremlin.
I know they do have records, but how many of them they've got, they don't know. Because I've heard stories where like ufologists would pay off old KGB agents to
Okay, yeah.
you know what I mean, to that information about their UFO stuff and stuff like that. I don't know how true that is, but I know that.
Yeah,
That
again, it's all. I can't remember. I reckon it's stuck in a FSB. Some documentation is stuck in an FSB drawer in a deep dark archive.
now,
Kremlin or something.
no, just to bring everybody who's listening up to par on what we're talking about now. The dialect. I always have a hard time speaking Russian. Dyatlov Pass incident. It's probably one of the most perplexing, unsolved mysteries of the 20th century, like I said. And what happened was in February of 1959, 9 experienced hikers perished under mysterious circumstances. And this happened in the Ural Mountains of what's now known as the former Soviet Union. Okay? Now, over 6 decades later, this incident continues to captivate the imagination of everybody, from researchers to conspiracy theorists to the general public. I've known about this for a while. It's like I said earlier before you came in, Mark, that I researched this 5 years ago, and a guy on WOW Talk, or it was either Q&A that John was doing. He was talking in the chat, and he wanted me to talk about it, and I told him back then that I didn't really want to do it at that moment. You know what I mean? Because I had a lot of good information on this stuff, and I did a lot of research on it, and it's actually pretty good. But I didn't want to just spill out a whole bunch of stuff without having, you know what I mean? Because this is actually a good topic. And I'm really surprised because that nobody else showed up, because I opened up Skype for it and everything, and that's kind of the strange part about all this. This right here was big stuff back in freaking 2000, 2018. But today, man, I mean, you don't what I said. Nobody showed up. I'm like, wow. You know, like that's crazy.
I think this probably be a good subject for the Mark's show.
Being honest,
So,
it has a lot of different aspects to it. Like
mm,
like like you were talking about your theory with the military and stuff. Okay, it has that. It has cryptids. It could be possible cryptids that were involved. There's military
mm,
conspiracy, the Cold War. I mean, everything that you would ever want is in this story. You know, it's
yeah, yeah.
it's just completely amazing. It really is. Okay, so now before we get started, let me also let pe- let emphasize what I just said. Okay, these are 9 experienced hikers that perished. Okay, and it was mysterious causes. These weren't like amateur hikers up in the woods. All right.
These are probably what Northern Territory, Norway and stuff. Oh no, how far did north did Russia get to during World War Two?
Of Siberia. I mean, this right here is taking
Yeah.
place.
So yeah, trained military veterans from World War Two.
Yeah.
Not
Now,
all. We only took them with 20 years or less,
yeah.
15 years.
Now the expedition that was taking place was supposed to be ran by they were students and graduates of the Ural Polytechnical Institute. I don't know if you've ever heard of that before.
Yeah, yeah.
Now,
Same, same. Technically, the same organisation that had that owned the Tetris computer game.
oh wow,
Yeah,
that's
back in the day.
back in the day. So now we have to talk about Tetris and we got to talk about Pong. You know, it's just these gamers. They need to wake up and realize, you know, that all their games and stuff has been created by the KGB and frickin' DARPA and all these crazy alphabet organizations. You know, it's interesting. Okay, so mostly mostly these students came from there. Okay, they were doing it to earn a grade 3 hiking certificate, which is supposed to be the highest certificate level in the or it was supposed to be at one time the highest certificate level for the Soviet Union for what they were going into. Now, one of the guys' name was Igor Dyatlov, and he was a 23-year-old engineering student, and he had a really significant trekking experience. He was really experienced, like I said. Like, these weren't amateurs that just were going out to Siberia to explore, you know what I mean? They were trained to do their job, and they were very experienced.
As I said, I would suspect all of them would be special or wherever was Russia's special forces during World War II and just after.
But there was an older man in there that I want to get to because he was, well, there's actually 2 of them when it comes to Russia that was very it complicated their investigation, and it caused a lot of cover up. A lot of people believe that it was a cover up, I should say, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Because of their backgrounds and what was found during
What they were true party members and well at that time it was known for well, commissars, military intelligence officers to join these sort of things.
that's something that I do want to get into. because that is very important. Now, what happened was on January the 27th in 1959, the group began their expedition, and they started from a town called Vaja, and they were intending to travel like 350 kilometers over rugged terrain and to this day I still don't know exactly where it was their destination was supposed to be.
Technically, I think that town is actually in Pakistan.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think so, because I remember the movie, or maybe it was the documentary that was talking about that. They had to jump on a train, and then they ended up staying in a town overnight, and that was where the guy Yuri Yudin, he fell ill, I believe, no, it was after they left that town. He fell ill, and he had to return to Vizhai. And he was the only one out of the expedition who was the survivor, and the only reason why he survived was because he fell ill and had to go back. And
Do you know what the illness was?
I've never found anything that indicated what it was. It was always just an illness, you know what I mean? And
An illness, some description.
and the weird part is when he finally passed away here recently, within the last 20 years, I'd say 25 years, they put a little plaque on the memorial that they had for the people who died of him next to it, because he said he wanted to be buried with his friends. But the weird part about it is like, that's very suspicious. You know what I mean? That really is very.
I don't know, comradeship and all that jazz.
Well, I mean, the fact that he mysteriously fell ill just before everybody in his party.
Well, odds. Again, we don't know what illness. It could have been just simple food poisoning or something.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it was never. I haven't found anything that says what he was actually ill from. I've never been. It just says, every reference I've ever come across said that Yuri just fell ill and he had to return back to Vizhai or Vizhai.
Right. Yeah, I think so.
Now, after that, I mean, he was basically spared, you know, from what had happened to his friends, you know, his companions. So that's what right there is one thing. Now, don't get me wrong, he might not have, you know, been a part of anything. You know what I mean? He might not, because apparently he felt so bad that he wanted to be, you know, buried next to him. So maybe that could show a little bit of things, but it does seem a little bit odd. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I can't explain it. So just chance.
No. When the group failed to return, because they were planned to return on February the 12th, that's when the search efforts began. All right. Now, on February the 26th, rescuers located the campsite on the slopes of Kholat Sayako. Sayako. This is another one of those crazy Russian names. So if I'm destroying the name, I apologize, guys. But that's just the way it gotta go. Now, the mountain was named. The mountain's name means death or dead mountain, just so you know. That's what's so strange about this, and it gets even deeper. Like I did a deep dive on this, all right, and there's a lot of strange things that are involved with it. They were trekking to this mountain, okay, and this mountain's name meant dead mountain, all right. And that's according to the local Mansi people. So not only am I going to be talking about the incident itself, but I also want to talk about the Mansi and the Conti, okay? And those are indigenous people of Western Siberia. Now, they basically they inhabit the region that surrounds the Ural Mountains and the Ob River Basin, which is in modern day Russia. Yeah.
Northwest. Actually, technically, just on the where Europe stops and Asia starts, somewhere around that sort of. Yeah.
You see, that helps me out too, because these people are very, very interesting. They really are. Now, together, both the Mansi and the Conti are referred to as like the Ob-Ugaric peoples, and they're closely related when it comes to their language and cultures. I know there was a big uprising, I believe, with the Conti back during the Cold War. The Soviet Union had forbidden them to worship their pagan beliefs, because they were pagans, and there was a big uprising with them. So the indigenous people in that area ended up getting really, really bad reputations. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things were said about them that may have been true, may not have been true, but we can go through that. But I do know that happened, and during the investigation, accusations were made against the Mansis, saying that they could have been involved with it, all right, in murdering this expedition team. So
Yeah, but I would imagine a lot of propaganda and for those people that are not deemed suitable for the socialist utopia.
yeah, well,
But yeah,
I could see where that could be a problem there too, especially in the Soviet Union, because here in the United States people have issues with paganism, you know.
okay, no, well, it's more ethnic, well, cultural ethnic. I'm just thinking of China and the Uyghur population at this present moment
Right, exactly.
being a good bit of similarly.
And you got to think, these people worshipped, or they believed in animism and shamanism, you know what I mean, and basic pagan worship, you know. So they're living up there, and they've actually retained a lot of their traditions over the years. Don't get me wrong. What I have learned is there is a blend of Russian Catholic influence or Protestant influence.
Yeah. Obviously, the whole the Church of the Catholic, Russian Orthodox.
Yeah, but they still blend that into their pagan and shamanistic views. You know what I mean? Like they aren't converted Christians or anything of that nature. It's kind of like a blended in. Kind of like what they did in South America.
Yeah, I was thinking a few Latin American countries actually.
Yeah. So and it's not really a significant amount either. Like I think they incorporated Mother Mary into their beliefs or some, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't anything that was really significantly enough to change their beliefs. And these are semi-nomadic people as well. So not only are they practicing paganism and animalism, and stuff like that, but they're also nomadic, somewhat nomadic. They relied on like hunting and fishing. They also herded reindeer, which that's something right there that stood out to me, because there aren't too many cultures that actually do that anymore. You know what I mean?
Isn't it North American? I mean, Canadian or?
I've I mean, at one time maybe they did, but like the Eskimos and stuff. But I haven't heard much when it comes to Eskimos hurting reindeers.
Well, just because you don't hear it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. But yeah, got to get your food from somewhere.
Well, I mean, it's just it was really a breath of fresh air hearing it. To be honest with you, I mean, it's like you'll hear people talk about horses and stuff like that, and cows and cattle and things, but reindeers, it was interesting when I heard that.
Yeah.
It really is. That to me that stood out is all I'm saying. So, I mean, I thought that was cool. And it made me think of Santa Claus. You know what I mean? Especially.
Feast them on Hanson.
Well, it's weird because like I just finished up doing that stuff with Jaffe. You know what I mean? With that Operation Secret Santa Claus, and how anal retentive he is about freaking Santa Claus. You know what I mean? So I started digging in and getting these notes together, and it pops up reindeers, and I'm like, oh my god, dude, Jaffe would love this. So these were the secret elves that collected the reindeers for Santa Claus' sleigh. Ladies and gentlemen, we've found out where the reindeers for Santa Claus come from. They're delivered to him by the Mansi and the Conti of Siberia. What do you think about that, Mark? You think that'll work?
Maybe.
Now, with these accusations, okay, that was made against them, it was because of their pagan beliefs. But when you actually get into the research and you start finding out what they were really about,
just not only the pagan beliefs. Remember, compliance to the Soviet Union itself. These people are not good citizens as far as the Soviet Union would be concerned.
Right. Now the Mansi maybe, but the Conti, they were the rebels. They're the ones who rebelled against them. And I mean, this went on for a long time. This is information that most people in the West don't even know anything about, to be honest. Like while the Soviet Union was going on, the Conti were actually fighting against the Soviet Union, the Soviets. I don't think they ever did convert over or comply with the Soviets. And I think that's probably one of the things that contributed to them being, the Manti being accused of it, is because they didn't comply with them. So, I mean, that's just my personal view of it.
Agreed. You could say that's about religious and racial standards, but on the whole, yeah, I agree.
The thing of it is like with the Mansi and the Conti, they had a deep connection, you know what I mean, to the natural world, and if you ever really get into what their beliefs are, you'll find out that it's all over their religious beliefs, or their spiritual beliefs or whatever. That they really had that deep connection to the natural world. And from my personal experience, people who were lunar worshippers were more into peaceful existence. They were more into and when I say lunar worship, that's the people
what we would call the Gaia complex.
Yeah.
The Gaia belief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. They were more involved in the feminist aspect of religion than the masculine, which is the sun worshippers. Most and the weird part about it is like up in that region, there's a lot of sun worshippers. You know, you had a lot of people who did do human sacrifices and stuff of that nature, and that was usually sun worshippers, and lunar worshippers were the opposite. They would sacrifice animals, or they would give offerings of you know, food or coins. You know what I'm saying? But they never did the whole human sacrifice thing, and that's one thing that really stood out to me. These people were more in line with the whole lunar worshippers than they were the solar ones. So it's kind of interesting with that aspect from the region where they come from. And they did have a deep connection to like nature. You know what I mean? It's a big part even today with their culture. So that's what I want to say, because that's some of the allegations that took place. They were accused of human sacrifices and stuff like that by the Soviet Union, and that's one of the reasons why they were suspected of this incident from happening, is the best way I could call it right now. These deaths is because they were being accused of worshiping pagan gods and sacrificing humans to their gods and things of that nature, which later was completely found to be unfounded. You know, it was just ridiculous. So
it's propaganda.
Yeah. Now, not only did they worship nature and stuff, okay, but and they also they had a veneration for natural forces, and also besides the natural forces, they also believed in ancestral spirits. So they believed in their ancestors as well. They believed that they were like guides that told them, you know, don't go here, go here, don't go here, go here. You know what I mean? That kind of guided them on their way and helped them through hard times and stuff. I think the scariest thing for Russians when it came to them is how they venerated the bear. And we've had conversations with Naroki about bears, so you know what I'm talking about, you know. People have like this fear of bears for some reason, and that
weirdly enough, the Soviet Union itself, one of the sort of imagery that was used within the Soviet Union was bears, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was actually their national animal, wasn't it?
Okay, I'm not sure. Possibly.
Because the United States is the eagle, and then I know it was always the bear versus the eagle. During
Yeah, all those
you know,
the kind that puts on media stuff. Yeah.
Well, Britain's animal was the golden coin, the golden shekel.
Don't think lions.
What was it? Lions?
Yeah, lions. What's the standard? What's the flag that?
You guys have stripes. You have
national, yeah.
You're like the Confederate flag, but with more colors and stuff. Like nobody ever talks shit about your flag. You know what I mean? But like you put a Confederate flag up here in the United States.
It's not a Confederate flag. It's a flag of representing colors from each nation within the United Kingdom. What's this? Red for England. No, red for Scotland. Blue for England. No, blue for Wales. Irish green. I know. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it represents the colours. It represents each line, each colour represents each nation.
That was a pretty good bit of information that you laid upon us, Mark Edworthy. I appreciate that. The somewhat descriptive colors of the the British flag. You know, I don't even live in Britain.
The
I should.
United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
I don't even live in Britain, and I shouldn't know any of that. But you should know that stuff. Like if I,
Yeah, I should go.
you know, I mean, like if you ask me about the United States flag, I know what the
Okay,
stars
yeah.
represent.
Red represents England and courage. White represents Scotland and purity. Good. And blue represents Ireland and loyalty. So actually, Wales is not actually represented in the flag.
Well, Wales has always been a thorn in England's back. You know what I mean? Because, like, Wales, first of all, they didn't like the idea of being considered the same as England, and that just pissed the English off. I mean, I'm even talking about it.
That's true of Ireland, of Northern Ireland, and
Well, they have a reason for it, though.
Scotland.
They have a reason for
The
it.
Jacobites in Scotland, and what's happened up till what technically 1992. But yeah, the troubles in the 70s and earlier.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they have actually a reason for it. Like, they had their own actual cultures and country at one time. But, like, Wales, dude, is like... Isn't Wales where a lot of royalty and, well, a lot of kings and queens originated from Wales, didn't they?
I'm sure I would have to do some research on that one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure.
So before we get too far off track, let me go over some of this. Now, the Ural Mountains, okay, for the Mansi, and the Conti, by the way, both of them, they were significant in these guys' mythologies. They were also considered sacred. Now, don't get me wrong on that. I mean, a lot of people say that they're sacred, but I also found out about the Mansi and the Conti that they didn't like hold specific areas to be sacred. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't have like altars that you go to and worship here because this is a sacred spot. You know what I mean? But they considered the earth sacred. Mountains were sacred, rivers were sacred, and stuff of that nature. So they had things. Well, okay, the best thing I can say is, like, I did make a note of it. The mountains are often viewed as a spiritual barrier between the physical world and the divine realm. Okay. That's how they viewed mountains. And you got to remember that these mountains in English means dead mountain. You know what I mean? This mountain that they were on meant dead mountain. So, and this gets even deeper into it when it comes to the Mansis, because, like, and I don't know how you would handle this, because I know how you are about the whole paranormal and spiritual thing. So I don't intend to really get a positive feedback from you on this one.
No, skeptical.
Yeah, but there is a lot of compelling stuff when it comes to this stuff. When it comes to the Mansi, and it's not because they were, sacrificing humans or nothing. It's because of the spiritual beliefs that they had. You know what I mean? It's those beliefs themselves. The whole way that they developed their rituals. You know what I'm saying? It shaped their entire the way of their rituals and stuff of that nature. So everything rotated around these beliefs, like the mountains were sacred and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And that's what people have to understand. These were very, very important to them, but they didn't like make altars and stuff like that in the area and said we need to make a pilgrimage here because this is a sacred spot. They didn't do stuff like that. but it was very important to him. Now, like I said, the Mansi and the Conti, they follow a form of paganism that combined animalism with polytheism, however you say, and ancestral worship. So they had a combination of all three of those things working together. Their spiritual practices are rooted in the idea that all elements in all natural world rivers, forests, mountains, and animals are inhabited by spirits or deities. So everything has a spirit. And animalism is where, what's his name? Who was the guy that came up with Dracula? Clive Barker. Was it Clive Barker?
No.
No. Yeah.
No.
That was animalism was one of the concepts that he came up with when it came to Dracula, because he founded it all on the idea that everything had a spirit, even the trees. You know what I mean? Like the trees actually had a spirit, the soil had a spirit. So did inanimate objects, I believe. Everything had a spirit, you know. When I say animalism, that's what I'm talking about. You know, I mean, everything had a spirit, and this is the kind of stuff that they believe. They believed that the rivers and the forests and the mountains and animals, everything, they're inhabited by spirits or deities. So it had a spirit or a deity that was involved with it. This idea into see that's the one thing that I learned back when I learned about. Have you ever heard of a story called Salem's Lot?
Rings a bell.
Salem's Lot kind of goes into that, and that eventually led me to find out that Bram Stoker is actually wanted to incorporate that too, because like when a vampire is transformed into a vampire, he becomes aware of all of these deities and all of these spirits around him in nature, and he can actually hear them. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not sure if that's if it was that was his idea or if that's just a reinterpretation.
Of course, it's a reinterpretation. It's animalism.
Yeah, I mean, not he didn't come up with the idea of the connection with Dracula. But I think that's a later idea.
Well, who would come up with it? I don't know of anybody who actually developed a vampire like that.
But yeah, the Dracula story franchise, whatever you want to call it, story has been rewritten many times.
Yeah. Now, I do have a list of these deities and stuff that they did worship. Okay. Now they have I believe. Oh, I have 3 of them that I can share. And the first one is Numi Taram, and Numi Taram is the supreme sky god in Mansi and Conte mythology. He's associated with creation, order, and the heavens, often depicted as a distant and ominous figure. Numi Torum governs the cosmos, but rarely intervenes in human affairs. So then you have him, and then you have the earth goddess Caltis, and she is believed to provide fertility and sustenance. She is revered as a nurturing yet powerful force who governs the natural world. So right there, that's where I came up with the whole lunar worshippers. They were lunar worshippers, and lunar worshippers usually take on the feminist aspects of religion, and that's where you start hearing about things like nurturing. You know what I mean? And a powerful force, but nurturing, and think fertility goddesses. That's Gaia, like you were talking about. You know what I mean? So these people were very much into all of that. They would have been like, or they probably are still to this day, like the hippies of what is that? What's Siberia? They'd have been like the pacifists. You know what I mean? The hippies that rebelled against those evil dictators. So now, from what I've heard, the Mansi, I don't know for sure if they just caved in and said, okay, we'll follow your mandates, or if they actually or anything about that. I know that they didn't rebel against the Soviet Union. I know that the Conti ended up doing outright rebellion when it came to it, but the Mansi, they still practiced and everything. Maybe they were like the passive resistant kind, you know what I mean? Like how,
well, if you're nomads, it's hard to keep you in one place, obviously. So,
yeah, it's true. I wasn't even thinking about that. If they're moving from place to place, they'd have to be tracked. And I later on, I do want to get more into them and find out what their history is, because I did research on my other channels, the strange stories about the gypsies, and I know, and I know that back in the day, they were treated pretty harshly, like kings and royalty.
Didn't we have part of the stream a couple of months ago talking about the Romanian or Romanian gypsies?
Mm-hmm. Like the nobles would literally hunt them down with search parties to just like massacre them. You know what I mean? They didn't want anything to do with them. So I'd really like to get deeper into this and check it out more on them, because I think they would be an interesting. It'd be a good deep dive to actually go in and find out what was going on with them. Now, this one is the one that has to do with the reindeers, the deity associated with hunting and the forest. This deity is called Yelping Nyar, or Nyar, or Nyar, however you say that shit.
Yeah.
Now, he's associated with hunting in the forest. Hunters would invoke Yelping Nyar for protection and success during expeditions. So whenever they went out on an expedition or they wanted protection, they would invoke him. Now, this is probably the deity that stuck out to me the most. Okay, because like these are protection deities. These are the ones that protect people of the Mansi and the other ones, the Conti, and So they had these different deities, and there were deities that were protectors. You know what I'm saying? So when we get into the whole conversation, you'll start hearing about some of the stuff that was supposedly supposed to be involved in this stuff, and there's a lot of theories on it. But like if you take a look at this protector, and you keep that in mind when you hear it, you can see that there is possibly probably a supernatural, divine, whatever you want to call it, take to this, but I don't think that any scientist is actually going to say, yeah, it was a magical deity from, that caused this problem. You know what I mean? Nobody is going to do that. That'd be like political suicide for anybody, But it's really strange. This Yaoping Nayar, I want to get his name right too, so. Got any feedback on that?
No, we mind. I was thinking the Greek mythology, Apollo and what's his sister in Greek mythology? The god of fertility, goddess of fertility.
No, that Aphrodite.
Yeah.
Aphrodite. Yeah, she.
Yeah. I was just thinking about that sort of similarity.
So, now with the ancestral spirits, okay. Now, with them, they played a crucial role in these guys' daily life. That they're believed to offer guidance, protection, and blessings. All right. Special offerings are usually made to ensure their favor. So they would make offerings to them. You know what I mean? So and it's kind of weird too, because I did do research on this, and they would leave coins for these deities or these.
Is that so strange?
Well. The gypsies is what's so strange. The way the gypsies do their thing, like they use rocks, okay? And this is what stuck out to me. Like a lot of people don't know this.
What is that? What is that water fountain in Italy? That's in the Vatican. Is it possibly in Vatican City? That is traditionally you just throw a coin into.
Oh man, is that the one where the angel pees on you?
Potentially, possibly.
Like about that one, right? Like
yeah.
Like you go up there and they'll just like randomly pee on you.
Yeah.
I think that's the one that's in it.
Something like that, yeah.
I still don't know for sure if that's like a practical joke or if like it's just messed up at some point in the past and it does it randomly or something, you know what I mean? I remember they had those videos of it and I checked it out and they said that it's been doing that for years. Like if you're up there and you throw that coin in there, a freaking angel will literally pee on you.
I think I lost that's just myth.
No, it's like video footage, dude.
Okay.
They've got funniest moments out that came out back in the 90s and stuff. You know what I mean? And they've literally got footage of this angel just peeing on people who are standing by the fountain.
Okay.
It's crazy, but it actually is true. I'll find one of the old clips. They're around on YouTube somewhere. I just have to.
Let's see. Yeah, see. Mannequin piss. P-I-S.
Manicus.
Mannequin. M-A-N-N-E-K-E-N.
Is that the name of the statue that you're talking about?
Yeah. Actually, it's in Brussels.
Oh, it's in Brussels. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I think there is a fountain in Italy where it's traditional to throw coins into.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure it's in the Vatican City.
Now, Brussels is up there around Germany too, though, right?
Yeah.
So that would go perfect with this culture too, because Germany, first of all, was actually called what was it? It was you had Prussia. It was Prussia. You had Russia, and then you had Prussia.
That was one province of Germany.
Well,
well, what we call Germany now, yeah, especially in the 19th century, a lot of provinces, self-contained countries, I suppose, popped up and disappeared and popped up, yeah, up till, remember, Germany wasn't unified until 1872.
1872. No, no,
Maybe.
because well, they had the Weimar government first.
Technically, German as a country is younger than the United States.
Yeah, I
It's a
know that.
small country. Yeah.
And there was that time too where actually they didn't change the name of Germany. They just changed the government's name.
They're unified country.
You know, well, I'm talking
Yeah.
about what was it, the Weimar government
That's between
after
that's
World War
between
One.
World War One and World War Two.
Yeah, and that wasn't changing the name of the government though, or the name of the country. It was
No,
just the name of the.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, um, yeah.
So that's a good point to bring up. So now with that we can go on to these animals with the animals and how they were considered sacred. Now these guys believed that the animals were sacred messengers, or they embodied, they were the embodiment of spirits. This is where I was talking about with the bears in particular. All right, they revered the bear. It was held. Its status was really high in the Mansi and Conti traditions. Like the bear was that, and that's probably where it became eventually, you know, the the animal. You know what I mean? The
Mm.
government animal, because I could see that now that I think about it, because the bear, I believe, was the Soviet symbol. I don't know what the
Mm.
Russians are, if they still believe in the bear or not. You know, I haven't kept up that much on them, but
Oh,
um,
depends on which culture.
now
Russia is a country.
the bear is often regarded as a mediator between humans and the spirit world. Richard Ritual bear festivals were the where the animal is ceremonially honored and its spirit is released are the central aspects of their worship as well. So um, these these people would ceremoniously honor um, these bears, and they would kill bears, dude. So I think that being able to like sacrifice a bear would probably scare a lot of people. Just in my opinion, you know what I mean? If like regular Joes in the Soviet Union was to go up into Siberia and see these indigenous uh, cultures sacrificing bears, that would probably be pretty traumatic to them. You know what I mean?
Mm.
That's just my
Yeah.
take on it.
Well, the city folk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like I pick on Amos all the time about kangaroos. You know what I mean? And like getting into a fight with a kangaroo. You know what I mean? Like who in their right mind would want to fight an animal that could kick your ass with just one punch, break every bone in your body? You know what I mean? But there's people down there that do that stuff. They even eat kangaroo.
Yeah.
You know.
You
Um,
can buy kangaroo steak.
but
It's well, I won't say it's common in the UK, but it's you can order it easily.
you guys are something else. That's almost
Well, no doubt in the US you could probably order kangaroo
no.
steaks.
Anything that
Pricey.
could stand up and
Right.
like give you a high five is just off the table, man. You know what I mean? I couldn't see myself eating a kangaroo. It just
I don't know. I'd try anything once. Huh.
but my whole point was is like you know, that's probably a softer version of their reaction when they saw these people sacrificing a bear in their festivals, and not only that, but ceremonially, you know what I mean, like ceremonial uh, sacrifices. You know, I think that would probably flip them out, to be honest with you. So that I
I don't know. Depends on how it's done, I suppose.
Okay, so what they basically do is they perform rituals, they offer sacrifices, and they interpreted signs from the spirit world. That's what these people did. Their tools included drums, sacred objects, and ceremonial customs. And these were adorned with symbols um, of their spiritual journeys. So with that, you have to get into the shamans. So this is the shamanism that goes into it. Now shamans were usually called upon to heal like physical and spiritual ailments, um, and they would use these rituals, uh, or they would involve these rituals, you know, which were basically like chanting and drumming, and then, you know, of course, the invocation of protective spirits that would come in and heal a person who was ill. You know what I mean? Or you know, just protection and stuff of that nature. Then you had divination. Um, so you had the shamans that did that. Then you had divination. It was a common practice for these guys to seek guidance from the spirit world. Shamans used sacred objects, like I said, and natural elements. Now they were into fire, water, and stuff like that. They used it to interpret messages. So they would use objects or natural stuff like fire, water, things of that nature. I don't even know what they believed in. Like, I know that we had natural elements, which was fire, water, air, and what's the other one? Fire, air, water, earth.
Yeah.
Earth. Okay. But yeah, well, actually, they would do it because they worship the mountains and stuff of that nature too. So, yeah, that would make perfect sense. Now, the Mansi and the Conti marked seasonal changes with communal ceremonies to honor the spirits of nature. These events often included dances, songs, and offerings. Now we get to the natural landscapes. Okay, the natural landscapes play a central role in the Mansi and Conti's religious practices. Um, Now, they had specific locations, such as groves, springs, and mountains, you know, and remember, Dead Mountain, keep that in mind, all right? And they are considered sacred, all of them are, and are sites of worship. So they would go to these places to worship them, but they weren't like, this mountain is like the central mountain where we were all going to make a pilgrimage to. You know what I mean? They would go to mountains, just period. You know what I mean? That's the one thing that I did find out about that, and it's really kind of it is pretty much a nomadic kind of thing, because you can see that too when you just watch documentaries of Mongolia, you know, and the way the nomads participate or act down there. That was a really that was really how they practiced it. Like, if they were around a certain area that had like mountains and they wanted to do their ceremonies on a mountain, and they would go to that mountain, and that would be important to them at that moment. Now, like I said, with these rituals, they made offerings, okay, and the common offerings that they usually made was like food, which consisted of meat, fish, or bread, things of that nature. They would use animal sacrifices, and then they would also use coins and other valuables, and that was basically the extent of it. Now, like I said, there were allegations that were made about the Mansi about human sacrifices during the time of this whole situation that was taking place. Okay, but historically, there's been no substantial evidence to suggest that the Mansi or the Conti people practice human sacrifices as a part of their religious traditions. All right. Their rituals and spiritual practices primarily focused on animal offerings, particularly reindeer and other domesticated and wild animals. Now, the domesticated thing is kind of what struck my attention. I hope they're talking about horses. You know what I mean? And even in that aspect, I mean, nobody wants to see a horse sacrificed, you know what I mean? But like what
I don't know. Again,
like,
it's all food at the end of the day.
well, I mean, you know, Jeffy and him always talks about cats and everything over there in Korea. So it's like when I
Every culture's got its own delicacies.
now they did use reindeer particularly. That was one of the big things. Now Now, when it comes to that, other than that, they used offerings of like food, coins, and valuables to appease spirits and deities. But that was basically what they used. Okay. Now, the sacrificial rituals among the Muncies and the Contis often involved animals like reindeers, which I said, which held significant spiritual and economic value. Okay, these sacrifices were performed to honor deities, seek protection, or ensure successful hunting and reindeer herding. So these guys, the reindeer were used, for they would sacrifice one of them so that they would be able to herd their reindeers good. They would have a successful hunt and things of that nature. Items such as bread, fish, and coins were common offerings. They were left at sacred sites like groves, springs, and mountains. So they would leave coins and stuff like that behind. Now the springs would probably come from like you were talking about, the fountains. Okay, and for me, I find that to be a lot more of a Indo-European kind of thing. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I kind of get this whole blending of Indo-European with lunar worship. You know?
Okay.
Because a lot of the Indo-Europeans were solar worshippers, and
Well, I think it depends on which part of the hemisphere you're on.
well,
Because
that,
obviously,
we're talking about that.
further south, it's more sunnier.
Well, dude, lunar worship. You know what lunar
Yeah,
worship?
there will be exceptions, but as an example, Aztecs are the Aztec civilization was sun
Yeah,
sort of worshippers.
yeah,
So
I know. They were Babylonians. Okay, a lot of people. A
yeah,
lot of
so yeah, the stuff you go, the warmer it is, the
you know. No, the Babylonians, though, you gotta understand, they were lunar worshippers. They didn't believe in.
well, yeah. There's going to be exceptions to that rule, but
Yeah.
as a generalization.
And the Indo-Aryans up in that region, which is north, were actually solar worshippers. You know what I mean? Like they they actually did that, and a lot of solar worshippers believed in human sacrifices, which kind of makes it interesting because, like I said, with the whole thing about the springs and groves, maybe not the mountains as much. I have heard some things, especially in the Turkish area with the Urartu, that they did worship, and the Scythians and Sarmatians, they were real big on the mountains. They actually had a deity that was a mountain god, and they were Indo-Europe or Indo-Aryans too.
Well,
So.
it's obviously if you've got mountains around you and you're in a primitive culture, then yeah, you're going to worship what's your environment of some description. So if you've got mountains there, you're going to worship some deity on the mountain.
Well, think about it too. Like they believed that this deity was walking on this mountain, and was what was causing thunder. You know what I mean? So they would hear thunder in the distance, and they would think that it came from this mountaintop where the gods were. You know what I mean? That's one thing that always stuck out to me. So it would make sense that people would be mountain worshippers. So I always thought that was pretty good. But the spring connection thing there, you know what I mean? That kind of sticks out to me where it's kind of strange. It might have been a culmination too, you know, because like eventually a lot of these Indo-Aryan cultures did settle down. Like they didn't all just like migrate to Asia, you know. It took thousands of years actually. Well, not thousands. Wait, maybe.
Well, yeah. Well,
maybe. But it took them time to get there, you know, because you were talking about the Uyghurs. The Uyghurs are they're a good example of Indo-Aryan. So, like in this region, they could have all kind of culminated. And this is where they came from, you know. So I wanted to get through that and talk about that with you guys and bring that out first about these guys and kind of give an idea of what they were. Now their sacred ceremonies, they included bear festivals. They emphasized reverence for the animal spirit. The bear, considered a divine mediator, was treated with respect, and its spirit was symbolically released during elaborate rituals. So it was symbolically released. You know, I think that that's probably like a load of shit. You know what I mean? I can't really cave into that because I've been seeing a lot of that in like a lot of my a lot of the channels that I go to that I like to read check out when it comes to history. They're getting really woke on a lot of this shit, you know what I mean? There's no other way of saying it, you know what I mean? Like, it's just so saturated now. I mean, channels that I actually liked and I respected, I can't handle going to it anymore because of how disgusting they are, you know what I mean? They've just warped the hell out of history, and this is one of them, like, symbolically released, you know, and its spirit was symbolically released, you know. Nomads who believe in paganism don't symbolically release animal spirits during rituals.
How would you describe it?
They would reenact it, is what they're trying to say. Like the shamans would reenact.
Okay, yeah, that makes more sense.
Reenact the sacrifice, basically. I just don't see that as happening. You know what I mean? Now, there have been occasional speculative claims or misunderstandings about human sacrifices in Siberian indigenous practices. often stemming from earlier explorers, anthropologists, and missionaries who misunderstood the symbolic nature of the rituals. That's basically what the deal was. It all started because like all of these early explorers and anthropologists from way back when, and the missionaries, they just misunderstood the symbolic nature of it. They took it as like human sacrifices. Now, if I can find any kind of evidence of that taking place, then I'll be the first one to say it. You know what I mean? But I can honestly tell you, I've never came across anything that even suggests that they did or do human sacrifices or anything. Which, by the way, is a bit strange considering the geographical area they're in. You know, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of that was taking place up there in that region, and especially down on the Russian, what do they call that? The Russian, the Russian
Steps.
the steppes. Yeah, the Russian steppes.
Hmm.
It was very common in that region, so it does seem odd. So I don't know for sure. I just haven't found any evidence to back up any of those claims. So, but I do find it odd that they never participated in it coming from that region. It does seem to be pretty strange. Now, the thing of it is the Dyatlov Pass incident also contributed to myths surrounding the Muncie. It had a lot of profound theories suggesting ritualistic involvement. These speculations have been debunked according to a lot of people, as the Muncie's spiritual practices emphasize harmony with nature rather than violence or harm to humans. That is true to a lot of extent from everything that I've covered there. But also you have to understand as well, like there is a difference between the Mansi and the other ones. I keep forgetting their names. The common.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I keep forgetting their names, but they weren't the same. Like they don't accept you. You know what I mean? Like because of the treatment, I guess, that they went through with the Soviet Union, the Conti. Yeah, the Conti aren't the kind of person that you go up to and ask for directions. You know what I mean? You just stay away from them. So that's one thing. And then you put like you put the whole protection thing when it comes to their spiritual beliefs. Okay, that's what I'm talking about with the Conti especially. I think maybe not as much with the Monty, but with these Contis, they have a very bad reputation because of the way they the way they act around people who are outsiders. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
They aren't the type of person that's very social with you if you aren't a part of their tribes and stuff of that nature. And they have every right to. You know, I mean, they've like I said, they had to fight against the Soviets during the Cold War and stuff of that nature. So I can see where there would be a bit standoffish, you know. So what's your take so far?
Yeah, well, yeah. um, I can comment to that. I've already commented. Yeah.
Okay, so now, like I said, these have all been basically debunked. You know, if anybody out there has any kind of evidence that backs up the fact that these guys committed these kind of things, then I'd be more than happy to look at them. You know what I mean? I personally do see things in like some of the evidence that they've thrown up in this case with the Dyatlov Pass incident when it comes to like what they talk about with their beliefs and everything. They're because you got to understand something. This is a case that's unsolved. They really don't know what happened when it comes to that. You know what I mean? So, and I don't believe that there would be any violence from the Monsi, but the Conti, there is a good chance that there was something that I'm not going to say a good chance, but there is a possibility that they could have done something. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't leave that entirely out of it. You know, because it's just really a compelling story. You know. And it's like I said, I honestly believe this could have possibly been one of the biggest mysteries of the 20th century. To be honest, it really was. Now, we already went over everything that concerns the Russian Christianity and the Russian Orthodoxy, how it influenced the Munster and all that. And that happened during the 17th century, but many of their traditions and their beliefs and practices, they still persist. You know what I mean? They still practice them and everything. Syncretism, that's something that we always talk about. Everybody that comes onto my show always talks about synchronicity and syncretism and all this stuff, you know, and that is something that's common. They believe in that. They incorporate Christian saints and rituals. They're all incorporated into their pagan framework, you know what I mean? So you have this culmination of synchronicity. You have Christian saints, and then you have a lot of the Orthodox rituals that are all being incorporated with their pagan beliefs. So that's basically what it is. So they're basically, like we said, you know, in South America, how they practice that way. So the Mountie, basically, they people didn't really know much about them. Okay, they gained attention because of the Dyatlov Pass incident, and that happened back in 1959. But usually, man, people didn't know anything about them. Now, getting back to this incident that happened in 1959, it involved 9 hikers. Okay, and these hikers, they perished under mysterious circumstances, and this took place in the Ural Mountains. Just so if anybody doesn't understand what we're talking about, I'm coming back to where we're starting out. So this is what happened in 1959, and that's the reason why we were talking about the Monsi and the Conti. And during the investigation, there were accusations that were made that these people were involved in the situation. So that is basically everything that I wanted to mention about that. Now, with everything that I pointed out there, what's your feedback on that, Mark? On all of it, like.
In what context?
When it comes to these mysterious deaths, okay, do you think that there's a possibility that maybe they would have been involved in it in some way?
There's always a possibility. Doubtful, but there's always a possibility.
No, for me, it's like I said, I don't believe the Mansi people were involved. I do believe that maybe the Conti would have been involved, but that would only be because of like the way they've been treated, you know, in the past for the last 100 years about their beliefs and stuff. And they actually went or fought against the Soviets because of that. So there's a lot of hatred going on there too, you know. So it's like I was telling Mr. Robot when he was in India. You know, he was talking about wanting to go into these small towns, and I told him, I was like, you need to be careful. Don't go straying off to these little villages, because a lot of these people in these small villages don't want outsiders coming in and sleeping in their empty buildings. You know, you know what I'm talking about. It's like locals don't like that shit. I mean, even here in the United States, it's like freaking.
Well, yeah, I can think of plenty of small towns where I am with the same sort of attitude.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just so. I can see that. Now, the next thing I want to talk about now is I want to get into the tent. Okay, now this tent that was found, it was discovered damaged and half buried in the snow. Now, investigators noticed that it had been slashed open from the inside, according to the investigators. They said that in the initial investigation, they found that the tent was slashed from the inside, and that to them suggested that the hikers had fled in a panic. That they literally cut their tents open and they fled from whatever was taking place. So they slashed it from the inside and fled in a panic. Now, tracks in the snow led away from the tent, but all of these tracks were disorganized and inconsistent, okay, as if the group was running in different directions. Now, the thing that I noticed... Oh, wait. I think we have a comment. Oh, is that you?
Yeah, no, yeah,
Was that you who made that?
yeah. I'm just wondering if it'd be a good idea to split this stream into 2 streams,
We could.
because that's quite a lot of information there in relation to the religious or the cultural sort of backgrounds.
Now, I could start it up and get us into the tent at least and get through this area.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, they did have. Now, what I want to do is I want to get down to this, but there's a part that comes up that involves military involvement and everything. We can get through into that. Now,
Okay.
if you want to, we could split it up, but I mean, we can get it.
Well, it's quite a large subject, so I'm just thinking it might be more practical to do that.
Now, I can do like the initial investigations and stuff
Yeah.
stuff, but the part about the radiation being discovered, there were several anomalies that took place on that, which really started the whole mystery behind it. You know what I mean? But right now, if you want, we can talk about just go over like the injuries. You know what I'm saying, and the damage of the tents and stuff, and then we can finish it off if you want to do that, and then we can come back later and talk about the rest of it, because you're right that the whole thing with the radiation being detected there, it just leads off into a whole lot more information. So you are right about that. But is that cool? You want to do at least?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Because like this has a lot of good information in it too. All right, now the thing of it is like I said, the slashes appeared to be from the inside, according to these investigators, which means that these hikers fled in a panic. Okay, the tracks in the snow, they led away from the tent, but they were disorganized and inconsistent. Now, you also have to remember what I said. These are experienced hikers, okay, who supposedly tore their tents open from the inside and then fled barefooted. Let me remind you that, and half clothed in disorganized opposite directions of one another. Okay.
Okay.
Now, I don't see that happening. I don't see that, especially being disorganized and inconsistent. If and running in different directions. Why would they split up, being expert hikers in the Siberian frickin' in Siberia? You know what I mean? I mean, probably one of the deadliest places on the face of this planet. You know, next to South Pole. and over here in Canada, like in the Yukon, I know that's colder, but other than that, like you don't do that in Siberia. So
Mm.
I don't know. What do you think? Do you find anything suspicious about that?
Well, it could be caused by a number of issues. Um,
Now you
I can only speculate.
you know they came up with the whole avalanche theory, right?
Okay.
They made claims that there's an avalanche, and we can go over that later on too. Okay,
Mm.
um, but that was one of their theories, and like they keep holding on to this idea that an avalanche was responsible for this stuff, and the truth of the matter is there's nothing that indicated that an avalanche took place. Like there was no evidence found by the people who were in the search parties that showed that an avalanche had occurred. Um,
Mm.
with this tent, okay, they had old pictures that you can find. If you pay attention to the video footage, you can also see it. But what they did is they built this tent, and they took their ski sticks, and they jabbed them into the snow around the tent as like perimeters.
Yeah.
And in the videos and in the pictures, you'll see these same sticks still poking up after they found the tent tore up. Okay. Now, there's a lot of researchers who have said if that was the case, if it was an avalanche, those sticks wouldn't have been there. You know what I mean? They'd have been knocked over, they'd have been gone, but they would not have been there. But they were clearly sticking up out of the snow. All right. And to this day, the Russians still want to say that it was an avalanche. They did another investigation in 2020 and still came up with like mini avalanches now. So it went from an avalanche to mini avalanches. You know. So that's the thing about the tent that I did want to bring up. And then over the following weeks, search teams found the bodies of the hikers, and they were found under various conditions. Okay, the first group included Dyatlov, including Dyatlov, which the Dyatlov incident is named after. They were found within like 1.5 kilometers from the tent. Okay. They wore minimum clothes, and they were found either barefoot or wearing only socks. Now, autopsies revealed hypothermia as the cause of death for these individuals. Okay, now 2 months later, the remaining hikers were discovered in a ravine approximately 75 meters from the others. Okay, these bodies exhibited severe injuries. Now, Nikolai Fabius Brignol suffered a fractured skull. Lyudmila Dubinina and Semyon Delatarov Valatarov they both had broken ribs. Okay, now these two, or all of them actually, this is what they attributed to falling down, collapsing, stuff like that. Okay, now I could understand scrapes and stuff of that nature, but if you actually go and you look at the footage and you look at the photos that were taken during this time period, you could see that these weren't just scratches and abrasions. They had their knuckles just bare. okay, where they had apparently hit something. You had injuries to their face, dude. One of the girl and the guy who had the broken ribs, they said that a creature or a person could have possibly came up and like put their foot down on the back of their shoulder blades and crushed their ribs like that. But they would have had to have been very strong and very powerful. Okay,
Again, a bear.
right, and it still doesn't explain why two of them had broken ribs and they were both in separate locations. Okay, like this didn't happen in the tent while they were laying down and sleeping. This happened while they were running away.
Okay.
You know? Now, another thing they said is there had to have been an extreme fall that could have caused it. You know what I mean? It's like falling to the earth, maybe being lifted up and falling to the earth. That could have caused it. Some kind of impact that was strong enough to literally crush their ribs had to have taken place, and they don't really have any good explanation for why that took place. The region that they were found on the side of a mountain range, and there was trees or forest that was off in the distance, so they were basically looking down at this forest, and they had a huge amount of area where they could where it was just open space. It was just snow, okay, and a few of them tried to run for the forest, and they found the bodies that was there. But then there was a couple, or about 3 or 4 of them, I believe, that was found in a ravine. And they said that one of the women had her eyes that were gone, and her tongue was literally missing out of her mouth. Okay, and they said that was due to the water receding into the things, and people who did autopsies on them actually said no, that might have happened with the eyes, but not with the tongue. That wouldn't have happened with the tongue, where it would just not be there. You know what I mean? It was literally pulled out of her freaking mouth.
Okay.
You know, these are the strange things that had taken place there, and the autopsies were supposedly revealed hypothermia as the cause of death for these individuals. And then 2 months later, the remaining hikers were discovered in the ravine, which, as I said, was like 75 meters from the others. So they were able to travel 75 meters, and then they died there by that ravine. One of them with their eyes gone and tongue pulled out. Okay. Or maybe pulled out. That's just my hypothesis, but according to them, they said that because her face was down into the ravine, you know what I mean, the little puddle of water, and they said that the puddle of water could have been what caused that, or it was what caused that, basically, is what they're saying. And then other experts came forward and just said, no, that's not true. It might be true with the eyes, but not with the tongue. Now, these bodies, that were found in that ravine, they exhibited severe injuries, okay? And they suffered from fractured skulls. Lyudmila Dubanina and Samya Volotov had the broken ribs, like I said. Dubanina was also missing her tongue and eyes. Okay, that was the one who had her tongue and eyes missing, and that led to even more speculation about what had occurred. And I agree, that's kind of like that and the broken ribs. Okay, you can't get away from the broken ribs. There's just no way in that terrain. And I suggest that if anybody who has never heard of this heard about it, just type it up. It's Dyatlov Pass, and you spell Dyatlov Dyatlob. type it up and look at it, and you can see the evidence for yourself, and you'll see what I'm talking about. These guys were were badly mutilated. It was a horrible situation. So I suggested anybody who is interested in this stuff check it out, because it really is a pretty fascinating story. I don't know what you think about it, Mark, but I do find it pretty interesting. Do you think it's a Yeti?
Sorry? I think it's a Yeti.
Do you think it's a Yeti?
Probably not, but who knows?
Now, this next part that we're going to do is going to cover the other anomalies. There's more things that are involved in it. I think if you want to come back with me next week on Wednesday, and we can go through that, because this gets into what you think it is, and that's going to cover more of the military aspects of it, because this, I did want to mention the indigenous culture that was accused of, or first accused of it, because nobody really covered them too much, you know what I mean? Like, they just kind of briefly went over it and said, oh, these are great people, don't worry about it, you know what I mean? And I'm like, well, what were these people like? And I started actually doing research on them, and they have a really interesting history, is all I gotta say, you know what I mean? Even apart from this, they're a very interesting culture, so if anybody's into that stuff, they might want to check them out. But what's your take?
Interference, but again, speculation.
Well,
know.
What kind of speculation are we talking about here?
Well, you've suggested that it could be interference. Those corpses were interfered with either prior to death or after death.
No, I'm talking about before death. Something did that to them. I mean, that's the cause of their death. Okay, like.
Yeah, that could be anything. It could be animal. It could be affluent. It could be falling off the mountain. A mountain. Yeah.
There's nothing there.
Well, they turn the eye. They wouldn't, but the broken ribs would.
Yeah, there's nothing to fall off of, dude, at all. It's like,
right?
No.
We've got mountain.
Well, do me a favor and go and look at that when you get a chance, okay? You need to see the terrain, because I'm telling you.
Why? How big is the mountain? Is the mountain like that or that or?
It's kind of you could call it a mountain, but you could also call it like a terrain that goes at a really extremely high altitude. You know what I'm saying? At an angle, maybe 15 to 20 degree angle, maybe. It kind of looks like that, but there's
gentle angle.
You know what I mean? Like, there's no cliffs to fall off of at all. I mean, I've looked around on that, and I'm like, dude, there is nothing that could happen there. It's just.
Okay.
But do me a favor and check that out. I think you'll find it very interesting. Like, the terrain itself is what screws these guys' theories up. It really does. It messes them up, because you could say that about anybody in the Rocky Mountains, or somewhere that's mountainous like that, but you can't say it here. It's weird. Just where they found that tent, there is no way that somebody had their ribs broken like that because they fell off of a cliff. And then they were the two people were actually in two different areas. They weren't in the same areas. It was in a ravine, so they could have been together. So
a ravine, so rocks could fall.
Well, the the ice, they were actually under ice in this ravine, and it was
Like
the reason why it took them so long was because it was coming to spring, and
under ice, so they could have been crushed.
abrasions, dude. Let me point that word out. Abrasions. Okay, cuts, abrasions, freaking like horrible abrasions,
Okay.
not like scratches and stuff. Okay,
No,
these
if enough things fall on you, you're going to have to use this and
snow, dude, snow.
yeah. Well, snow can be quite heavy, depending on density and.
Not enough to bust your face up, man. I mean, these.
Have you ever been hit
I've been hit
by
by a snowball.
a snowball?
Yeah, that was had ice in it, and you know what? It was thrown at me. Okay, it was thrown at me. It wasn't laying on me. That's another point that's a big issue too.
But that's just a matter. That's just depending on force.
Yeah,
We've got a
okay.
big flurry of snow, very dense snow hitting you uh, in a quick succession.
In a situation like that, I could understand deterioration. I could understand the skin
Oh.
and everything, kind of withering away,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like
I
with
don't
the
know. I would
eyeballs.
say ice and snow would preserve skin up to a point.
Well, the water thing with uh, that the Benina, they said that well, I believe that was what her name was. She they said that the tongue and eyes, the cause for that was because her face was down into the water in the ravine, which was like a
Yeah.
puddle of water that was going by, and it was what caused her eyes to disappear. But then
Yeah.
one that I also heard from a person that was into doing autopsies and stuff of that nature, and they said that doesn't coincide with the tongue, though. The tongue wouldn't do that. It wouldn't deteriorate because it was in water.
Could break off though
It might,
if the water's cold enough.
but they would still find fragments of it, wouldn't they?
If they were looking for it,
Seriously, dude. Seriously. Like, you just found a body and the tongue's missing. You're not going to look for it. Seriously.
or if you did a fair enough search.
Well, the truth is this is the Soviet Union too, and everybody knows about Citizen X. They didn't really do that good of a job with his investigation either. So, and that's another thing to take into consideration as well. This was the Soviet Union. They weren't as organized as what everybody thought they were back in the day. When it finally came out and everybody realized what was going on, they realized like they had a pretty bad system set up. That's why the wall fell. You know what I mean? So you do have to take that into consideration. The investigation was probably botched. There's probably a good chance.
Possibly, potentially.
So we are at that point where you want to break off at, and next time we'll come up with the next one because there's several anomalies that took place at the site, and these anomalies they added to the enigma of what had taken place there. No, I'm not going to get into it, but I'll give you guys basically a feed down on it. There were traces of radiation which was found on some of the hikers' clothing. That caused an issue. So we are going to start out there, and we'll get into some more stuff that involves the actual military and things that may have taken place when it comes to that, and maybe a cover-up. So anything else you want to say before we get this done?
No, I think really you should have covered the entire sort of environmental sort of aspects. Um, well, environment as in where they are and the cultures that or the people that were around them.
I wanted to just get that out of the way because like that was one big claim that a lot of people made about this situation about the
Mm.
about the uh, about the indigenous culture there, and I don't see it as being a logical explanation other than maybe not the Muncie, but the other ones. Maybe they did it, but other than that, I don't see it as
Again, yeah, just speculation,
yeah.
no evidence. Mm.
There was a lot of previous hatred there. You could tell from the history, you know.
Mm.
So with that, I guess we can go ahead and end this. We got like an hour and 50 minutes into it. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please like, subscribe, share, uh, make comments, man. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Mark, do you want to tell everybody where they can find you before we get off here? Huh?
Uh, slash Midworthy.
Yeah, slash Medworthy. Minds.com slash
Yeah.
Medworthy. That's where you can find him. And we both hang out on Minds Chat too, so if you guys want to come in on Minds Chat, you can catch us there. We're also on Skype and Discord. I'm on Discord. He's on Discord. So I finally
I'm
got Mark.
sort of,
I got
sort of, yeah.
got Mark to finally get an account on Discord. So he's in
I
Discord.
will review my Discord feed once in a blue moon, once every month, maybe a bit more, but
So so we're always around if you guys want to talk to us. If you want to come on the show, we're constantly posting links that make the Skype as well as Discord accounts available. So feel free to join us and be a part of the conversation if you want to. So with that, I am going to stop the stream and stop the recording.